All right, it's a great day, everybody. It's time for a recap regarding day 6, round 5 of the COPA versus Craig Wright Satoshi identity trial. Recap the day, make a call on who actually won today, and stay tuned to the very end because I'm going to make the exciting announcement actually as to how this played out, but you got to watch till the end. And additionally, I'm going to announce some of the upcoming interviews which you're not going to want to miss on this channel, which will be like podcast style interviews, which I got scheduled right now. All right, so court starts up 2:30 a.m. It's going to be day, like I said, day 6 on and day 5 on the stand for Wright. It looks like he's got 2 more days on the stand. Now, going into today, I made the calls that were even Steven, 2-2, and momentum was favoring COPA. Now, as we're going into today, it looks like that's going to be the same approach because COPA's grinding the point home about Dr. Wright, and they're asking him more and more questions in regarding trying to, destroy his credibility about his degrees, about things he said in prior blog posts, about relationships we had with prior business associates, Stephen Matthews. They were trying to get him to admit to some perjury and plagiarism, on an old college transcript or a college doctorate degree that he had, which actually he said was adjudicated by the college at that college that it wasn't plagiarism. However, they said it was inadmissible. So they tried to bring more and more information to get him to come forward that he's a liar, a fraud, a cheat, and a scam, a con man. And so one thing that COPA didn't bring up today was the expert witnesses. They didn't bring up Madden. They didn't bring up Rosenthal. So I felt like we're starting at a clean slate. All right, putting everything aside from what happened before, 2-2, even slate. So COPA was building the momentum, driving it home. They went into some pretty detailed discussion regarding the early days of Bitcoin and even prior to that. And the attempt was to ask Wright questions if he had any proof or evidence to show that he had been working on digital cash or cryptocurrency or prior to 2008. And Wright would rebut and say, well, no, there's the word Bitcoin wasn't even established yet. At that point, it was Timecoin chain. So and then the attorney was underprepared for these. So he would go back and ask the same question, reading off a script. Hey, Dr. Wright, admit that, you never used the word Bitcoin. Admit that you never used the word digital cash on these other prior documents. And you say, not so fast. I actually used it in the way of Timecoin. And one of the things that really that I want to get on here, to the audience here, all you guys, and that Dr. Wright was driving home, that cash actually was only just, this is his claim, was only just a small electronic cash, peer-to-peer cash. Yeah, the attorney on the stand was trying to narrow it down to say he didn't really make that point on these prior papers, Timecoin and, Blacknet. But Wright says that digital cash, electronic cash, was an after effect. It was something that was only a small percentage of a result of the invention of Bitcoin. He said it's a small fraction. It's an after effect. It actually is a must. It has to happen. What the invention was the timestamp. And then the electronic cash was an after effect. So it's really, he got the opportunity to get on the record that of his global vision for the entire, the entire intellectual property that he's holding right now over Enchain, the 4,000 patents applied for and granted, and about, the entire global ledger for a public ledger for humanity. And really he was very passionate and detailed at getting that in. So, that was in his favor. Of course, he would get interrupted. Now, one of the fireworks that happened was opposing counsel for COPA. He was interjecting regarding the COPA members and talking about how he was bringing up BTC at some point. And Wright got really excited, and he talked about how, well, your members at COPA are actually over there at Twitter pumping the price of BTC. And then the counsel objected. And then Rice got up and said something else. He said, my lord, to the judge. He says, my lord, may I please bring up how, this Twitter facts today, some of the things that are going on Twitter where the members of COPA are pumping the price of BTC, saying buy BTC, it's going to go up. And then the judge admonished Wright. So this is where Wright dug himself in a hole a little bit, at least in the way of, I would say, the favor. He was in bad favor with the court. Where the court admonished him and says, absolutely not, this is irrelevant, which the court is completely right. What happens on Twitter and how people are on the COPA side are saying buy BTC is absolutely not before the court. It's not even relevant at all. And so it was well done, well played by the court, and also professionally respected by Dr. Wright to say, yes, Your Honor, or yes, my Lord. And he completely understood once he was corrected because he was arguing back and forth with counsel. So that was where he dug himself in a little bit of a hole, but he bounced back. So there was some discussion about Marty Melny. He was an early developer on the Bitcoin blockchain in 2009. And Dr. Wright had some goings on with him. And the opposing counsel was attempting to get Dr. Wright to admit that what he said to Marty Melny, or that he wasn't the person that emailed back and forth to Marty Melny as Satoshi. And so he was drilling that point home about how this is not what you said. And then ultimately what happened was that Dr. Wright said that there was another party who was actually at that point was responding to emails as Satoshi. So it really got kind of confusing. I'm going to skip over the other part that he talked about Marty Melny just for respect of him and in privacy. But for those who watched the actual court hearing, there was some real fireworks there about some allegations that Dr. Wright made about Marty Melny, which were really not appropriate in this particular case. I think it was more of a personal attack. And so I'm going to avoid, I actually already shot a video on this and I discussed it, and I'm remaking this video because out of respect for the guy, because I don't know him, but as being a neutral party, I don't want to bring up what Dr. Wright said about Marty Melny, because I don't know the facts on it. It's only testimony right now, and I'm gonna avoid. So with respect for him, I'll be careful in avoiding that. But do your own research and find out about it. It's very interesting about what he said about Marty Melny. Yeah, counsel also asked Dr. Wright about his degrees. He testified to 5. I'm sorry, not degrees, but actually the doctorates that he was doing right now, total of 5. And he went through those. Interesting about how he's doing a doctorate on CBDCs, banking, and law of Bitcoin, and a couple of others. So 5 right now at once. Rather interesting that he was asked about. Now here's where the real rubber hit the road regarding who won today. All right, and this is at the very tail end of the entire day. So we're talking, the hearing actually ended early. And I'm going to make some speculation as to why, and see what, and let you make your own decision, but you make my own call. Now, here's the thing. We got a kind of a recap of the last little bit of a back and forth on the stand. And so COPA's attorney, counsel, Solicitor Hoff, he says, you mentioned the trust here. And Craig Wright, CSW, he says the software to create this is about the Genesis. They're talking about the Genesis block, the original block on Bitcoin. The software to create the keys was called the trust, quote. But that's not the tool of trust. COPA's counsel, Mr. Huff. You generated keys to sign in 2016, question mark? CSW, yes. So you said that this is from COPA's counsel. You said the Genesis block didn't have any public or private keys associated with it, question mark? CSW, you can generate a public key without knowing a private key. Then COPA's counsel, Mr. Hoff, you have said Genesis block doesn't have those though, question mark. CSW, key structure, hashed, doesn't act like a typical key. It's keyless key, no private key. Mr. Hoff for COPA, the drive didn't have a Genesis private key though, did it? Question mark. CSW, correct. Mr. Hoff for COPA, can you show how? Question mark. CSW, I could show you how. And then the last question was COPA's counsel, Mr. Huff. So you don't have cryptographic means to show? Question mark. CSW, not cryptographic. Those last 2 sentences right there by Wright left a cliffhanger. Now, this is why I'm going to make the call that today goes to Wright. No doubt about it. Momentum is back towards Wright. And when I say Wright, I'm not talking about a price or a token or any of that nonsense. Okay, this is just about an evaluation of the court case. All right, so please, for those who say, one BTC or BSV is, this is not about that. It really, I don't think it has anything to do with that personally. That's just my opinion, but this is just about the evaluation of who is winning the case today. And that's going to be right. He's got the momentum back because of what he just said. Now, in analyzing this a little bit further, I had a call listening in with Xiao Lu from Scrypt, good, dear, very near and dear friend of mine. And he talked about the possibility, he's the guy that actually proved that Bitcoin was Turing complete. When Dr. Wright mentioned it first in 2015 on one of those interviews with the Bitcoin panel. Now, Xiao Lu's the guy who actually proved it with his company Scrypt and making this new language, which is Scrypt, for developers to use and write smart contracts on Bitcoin. And so he made a post and talked about it earlier on a space, and he explained how it would be possible for the Genesis block to generate a key, which would be a one-time access key to potentially. Now here's where I'm totally just making this up because I can't exactly explain what Xiao Lu said, but in my own words, the Genesis block could be like if there were keys, if there were tokens, and there were Bitcoin in there, BTC, that were sent to the Genesis block, they could potentially be moved or adjusted with this type of algorithm. And it wouldn't necessarily, it would be like a one-time access key, and it would still be within the rules, and the block would still be maintained. So it's a very complicated scientific nuance here, which a handful of people in the world really understand, Xiao Lu being probably one of them. However, he was the first to jump up and state, he seemed like he really understood what Craig was saying. So that leaves us for a cliffhanger. We can speculate on what he meant by that. However, I think that speculation puts momentum back on Dr. Wright's side and gives him the win for the day. That's going to be COPA 2, Dr. Craig Wright 3. Since COPA's the plaintiff, we got the defendant 3. We got 2 to 3. So 2 to 3 going into tomorrow, and that's going to be on tomorrow. Well, tomorrow's going to be day 7, round 6. Today was day 6, round 5. Here we go for the big bloodbath of the Satoshi identity trial. A couple more things I got scheduled for this week, and that's going to be an interview with none other than patent attorney David Pierce. And, I'm going to get some, patent attorney David Pierce is been in the courtroom. All right. He has been hands-on inside of the trial. So his opinions and his perspective does matter. I want to hear what he has to say. Regardless of what side he's on, I still want to hear what he has to say. And I want to give him a platform because he's there and he's able to see a different perspective. See, when I'm watching on the camera, I'm seeing the front here. He's seeing the back, and he's seeing a whole different perspective of the entire courtroom. So what he's witnessing is valuable. Again, like I mentioned yesterday, I'd rather be informed than misinformed. So he's going to give us a different perspective. That'll be on Wednesday. So stay tuned for that. Also, a gentleman from Down Under by the name of Crypto Rick. He's got a great YouTube channel that's done some cool videos on BTC and BSV and some of the dynamics between the two of them. So it'll be interesting to hear his perspective on, what he talks about with crypto industry or Bitcoin and BTC and BSV. So definitely excited about that. We also have, I'm working on getting Raphael back on. He's got the Acapulco event right now. And so I want to do another call with him and Michael Middleton as well. They're both down there together hanging out at the event. And then, of course, none other than the Titan of blockchain, the Titan of big data, the man who may have a global monopoly over the entire big data, global blockchain industry for enterprise data going forward, Mr. Calvin Ayre. He's coming. Stay tuned for that. So we're rocking here. It's going to be a great week going into the trial again tomorrow. I'll be up early and, my playlist is on the video from yesterday. You can watch the recap of all the videos and watch how to watch the trial, which is on the video from yesterday. And, be sure to subscribe, hit the like button, make a comment. There's a notification bells. Hit that. All right. And share this video. Get the word out there so everybody else can hear about this and freaking follow the trial recap because people are really kind of hungry for this information and it's not going to come anywhere faster like a freaking fire hose than none other than Gavin Mail. I'll see you guys at the top.